good overview about Extreme. Now let's talk a little bit about SDN and software-defined networking. What is it? Why is it? Why is everybody talking about it? So to understand that, we have to understand that there are some changes taking place today in how people build and run networks. Right? There are some big trends coming about. Right? One of the biggest changes, and this is relatively recent, right, is mobility. Right? And when you say mobility, it's not just users, but it's users, devices, applications. Everything has become mobile. Right? So, for example, users. When you talk about users, you can use your cell phone, your smartphone, your iPad. You can walk around, and if you're, watching a video, when you move from one building to another building or one access point to another access point, you want to make sure your video does not stop. Similarly, if you go to the data center and you have servers, virtual machines, right? You can move virtual machines from server to server, but if I'm accessing data from that virtual server, when I move it from one location to a different location, I want to make sure my session stays up. Right? So the notion of mobility is not just users, it's users, devices, and applications, and this is a relatively new trend. The other big trend today is cloud sourcing, right? More and more users are going to the cloud, whether it is for platform as a service, whether it's for infrastructure as a service, compute as a service. The move to the cloud is a big trend, right? And that is driving a lot of complexity in cloud networks. So for example, there are challenges in the cloud to address multi-tenancy, which is how do you deal with multiple users all coming to the cloud and still provide isolation between them. So if I'm using one cloud service and you have your own applications in the cloud, inside the cloud, how do I make sure that my service does not interrupt your service? Right? How can I run them simultaneously? And how can the network provide that kind of isolation between different customers? Right? So there are several challenges for the cloud model as well. Then on the campus side, there is BYOD, bring your own device, which is a big issue, right? And more broadly, what people talk as the consumerization of IT, where people are expecting the IT department to be able to provide consumer-like behavior, to rapidly provision applications, to rapidly provision devices, and to be able to still be able to provide the kind of resiliency and uptime that they've always provided. So that's a big challenge, and it's a big trend today. Everybody's talking about BYOD. Is the term BYOD common in Latin America? Have you heard of it? Bring your own device, right? It's a big thing. In fact, tomorrow I'm giving a presentation on BYOD as well. So that's another big one. And along with all these trends, one of the biggest problems for networking is that IT departments are still very siloed. You have a separate department that does network, a separate department that does applications, a separate department that does storage, another department that does facilities, and they're all separate. And the problem is today, everything is happening together. For example, if you have to provision a virtual machine, to provision a virtual machine, you need the application people, you need the networking people, you need the storage people. All of them have to come together, right? And so this is all causing a big challenge, right? All of these things together. And when you look at all these problems coming together, software-defined networking actually provides a good opportunity to solve some of these challenges, right? That's why everybody's talking about SDN today, right? It provides some good opportunities to go address some of these real challenges.